I did the Marathon de Sable. I've done it twice. The first time I ran it, we'd like to say competitively, but it isn't for people, the average person. You're not trying to win it. It's a bit like running the London Marathon. You're just trying to do it because it's a challenge. And I had never done anything like that. So, and did okay. I was sort of the second fastest Brit and 26th or 28th, I think.
And that's the thing. So your feet are the biggest thing next to water, or both those things. I'd say you've got to really look after. If you feel your feet getting hot, you're getting blistered, you can feel the wearing, stop and deal with it. Because I promise you, I saw so many painful things. But he didn't prepare himself, I don't think, and he didn't stop when he could and just fix your feet. And it's a bit embarrassing, just for 5 minutes whilst you stop and take your foot.
So fix your feet means?
So the first thing is, if you are prone to getting blisters in a certain spot, before you even start, make sure you've taped them up. And I use zinc oxide tape, and if I know where there's a hot spot I'm going to get a blister, I tape it pre-tape it, a couple of layers of zinc oxide tape.
So no padding or anything?
If I know there's a hot spot, I don't bother with the padding. Okay. If as soon as you start getting a hot spot, you get a blister, then put a little bit of gauze against it and then zinc oxide tape, 2 or 3 layers. And that actually forms, and don't take it off at the end of the day, just add to it. So you're only there 3 days, add to it. The only problem with zinc oxide tape, some people have a reaction to it, and you need to test that beforehand. Because if you start to get rashes and things like that on your feet, it's worse. So you need to find another type of tape. But the thing I served in the forces and was in the Paras, so we would just tape and just keep taping and don't take it off until whatever the event is over. Otherwise you find you're tearing the skin and you're doing stuff. Now there might come a time where you have to take it off because you've got to clean it or something like that, so lots of sand and rubbish going in. But if you taped it properly, you won't get any rubbish in there. And if you deal with it straight away, you won't get stuff. Whereas you see people and they don't stop. It's just unbelievable. They won't stop, and they end up with big, horrible blisters when they take the feet off because your adrenaline's going, you're carrying on walking, and you think, oh, it'll be all right when you get in. When you get there, it's actually quite nasty. And in that environment, the sand is getting in if you're not careful, so it can.
Can you get infections and things?
You can see people get infections and stuff, and I would just say it's just not worth it, especially if you're walking. Just stop, sort it out, and get going.
And for the benefit of the team, we have doctors with us on the track.
So feet, hydration when you're on it. They will give you water. Make sure you take the water, because you do see people. They think they're okay, and by the time they've realised they're not, it's a really, really nasty feeling to go dehydrated,
so
and it'll make it really unpleasant.
Should you have the water?
Just keep drinking it all the time.
Do you take the gels? Do you?
We so for energy drinks, what I did was because it's slightly different there because you're racing, and although you're not competitive, you want to do your best time. So I had a Camelback, one of those things you put on your back, which went in my backpack, which is quite slow to fill, whereas the top guys have these water bottles on the front. As soon as they run in, you get a litre of water at each stop. They just used to pour it in and keep going. But what I did was you're all a bit scientific there because you're preparing. So I would get half a sachet of the energy drink mix and add that into the thing. So it wasn't the full strength because gets too sickly and horrible.
And would you recommend an energy drink? Can you remember?
No, I can't. I think I can't remember what we did, Gatorade and stuff like that. You just have to try them. Some of them are awful, really, and get the right mix. And getting something in food and stuff like that, just to keep your energy levels up as you go through little energy bars and stuff like that. It's important.
Joe's made some up today, so you can try it.
But I wouldn't go full.
Used to the taste.
Yeah, and it does after.
It irritates the stomach after
Yeah.
a while, doesn't it?
And that.
What can I have from that?
And that's actually something else that you just reminded me is the food and stuff like that. So you find a lot of people get diarrhea and things like that because one, the food is different, but the other thing is the hygiene. And if you're not careful, you pick it up really quickly because you're eating out in the field, and that really is pretty miserable. So
how do you cope with that?
Well, just make sure you wash your hands and you really are a bit attentive to the hygiene, and you're not and you don't sit down in the dust with the dust flying around because it is, and just take that little bit of extra. You'll be tired when you get your end of day meal. Just make sure you just take that bit of care to keep clean and make sure your hands are clean and everything's clean and it doesn't get dust. And sometimes, I mean, the weather out there can turn. You can have sandstorms and things like that, so it can be a bit difficult. But if you just take that bit of extra care, you do see people, they sit down and they put their food on the floor whilst they do something over here, and they pick it up. And you can imagine that isn't the most sensible thing to do. There's only so much you can do, and if you're unlucky. But I got quite badly sick on the penultimate day of the marathon. It was just miserable. So you run a marathon that day, and the second half was just like no batteries. It's just like, I want this to, and it was very hot on that day. So you finish feeling really sorry for yourself.
And how do you manage with, and it's quite personal, but how do you manage with the toilet then? Do they have lots of places to go?
I see from your website, you do all that nicely. There's a little toilet and a shower and
Discreet, isn't
stuff.
it, supposedly.
What, on route as we're walking?
Yeah, I think they.
Oh no!
I think en route for us,
Do
what
they?
I've read, they put up little screens. So literally, if you need to go, they put a screen up and you just go behind it.
But I know it's always it amused me both times in the marathon at Harbour because you arrive from Ouarzazate, which is the same place you go out, and the first day you're just in this camp where they're going to check all your kit and stuff like that. And people walk miles to find a sand dune, and they're very particular about all your rubbish goes with you and stuff like that. But people go miles, and everybody's supposed to be eco-friendly and keeping the spirit of the thing. But they go, 200, 300 metres to find a sand dune or a bush or something like that. And by the end, when people are really tired, their dignity's just gone. It's just here, God, I want to see that. So you just, and you do see some really quite appalling sights, and those people probably reflect later. Oh, that wasn't good. But yeah, so it's quite nice that you've got the screens.
I think they've got the screens. If you give them enough notice and you sort of go, I need to go pretty quick. I think I read somewhere that they literally just screen up.
And I think they're trying to make this a enjoyable experience, rather. Yeah. So feet really important. Water is really important, and the energy, just getting the food. But and
how far is 27 kilometres? That's the furthest we've got to walk.
Well, Tracy
15 miles.
emailed Charity
15,
Challenge
16
and they said
miles.
it's going to be 100k overall.
Overall, yeah.
Yeah.
So so it's about 17, 18 miles, isn't it?
It's the maximum we can do in one day.
So if you do one of your outings, and I wouldn't do loads and loads and loads of that, but do lots of what I did. I didn't do like 20 miles a day. I was doing sort of 5 miles each time I went out.
It's more the monotony, isn't it, of walking for that length of time?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's the bit for me. It's the
Yeah,
long
it'd be like
walking.
getting your head around.
The other thing is, if you're doing it all the time, you pick up injuries and things. You want to go there quite fresh, but knowing that you can do the distance, and then you just keep getting your body used to walking every day.
I know
But
someone
only a
who's
certain
doing
amount.
marathons and she's killing herself at the moment, doing all the training.
She
I
shouldn't
think.
really.
I might say to her about that,
Personally-
backpacks and stuff.
Personally, I from the Christmas through, every time I went out, I ran with kit with weight on, and I just got loads of kit on. But I didn't do miles and miles. I was just doing 5 miles a time,
Yeah.
maybe 3 or 4 times a week, which is quite hard work actually. And then once a weekend, I would do sort of 11 or 12 miles, and then I did twice. I did 21 miles. I didn't even do a